Okay, hello guys and gals, and we're gonna get right to the drum part. Before I start on what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to build the drum part, let's actually talk about the kind of drum part that we're trying to evolve out of. So, the typical YouTube tutorial kind of one. I've already pre-made one here. It's all made using stock sounds from FL Studio, and yeah, let's just play it because this is what we're trying to get away from. Yeah, this kind of thing. So, okay, let's break down what's actually wrong with this. Because a lot of times, if you've been making beats for just a couple of months, this is the kind of drum beat that you'll be using for your beats. And it's okay to learn from, but eventually you want to evolve out of this part. So, let's discuss what's wrong. First of all the sounds are stock. That's not necessarily a bad thing sometimes, because sometimes you can get good stock sounds, but these ones, if you listen to them individually, I'll solo them out. I mean, that kick is okay. But this ghost kick. These are quite dry sounds. Of course, I haven't put any effects on them either. But the point is, you're going to have to invest in your sounds. And there's a lot of free sounds that you can get online for the actual drums. So, I mean, it's not a problem. If you have some money to invest in real ones, excellent. Do that because it's worth it. But sounds are probably the least of the problems with this drum pattern. The mixing, as I said, no effects on here. The problem with mixing is it comes back to sound. As the saying goes, you can't really polish a turd. And if you have bad sounds, you can be a wizard with an equalizer, compressor. It's not going to make much of a difference. We'll get into mixing in the second part of this. But the most important thing, the biggest reason why this drum loop sounds so dead is because of the arrangement. Everything will come down to arrangement. If you look at this, everything is perfectly quantized. Everything is perfectly in time. Now, put yourself in the position of a real drummer. Will a drummer always be able to hit the hi-hat at mathematically the exact same time according to tempo? No, of course he won't. Same with a snare. A snare will always be milliseconds early or milliseconds late. As well as the timing, the volume. That's another thing. Let's look at the volumes for the hi-hats. Every single one is exactly the same. If you're a real drummer, will you be able to do that? The answer is no. So you've got to, think of how a real human would play the drum part, and then also realize that it's a real human listening. Humans are programmed to recognize, what's perfect and what's imperfect. And generally speaking, we prefer the things that are imperfect because that's how human rhythm works. Look at the way a human head bounces when somebody's listening to music. It's never, these, perfectly rhythmical movements. It's slow, it's bobbing. Sometimes it's a little bit late. Sometimes it's a little bit early. And you have to realize that you're making music for people and take that into account. Now that we've broken down what makes a bad drum part, let's show you what we're trying to go to, where I'm trying to get you to. So this is going to be the example drum part that we're working by. And you can immediately tell this has bounce, it's thicker, the sounds are better. Okay, so the next part of this is going to be about how to build a drum part like this. We're going to talk about sound selection, the arrangement, and the basics of mixing it. There isn't very much in the mixing part either, so don't really worry about not being too good with an equalizer or a compressor, because my job is always to minimize that, how much of that needs to be done.